Howdy team, happy Thursday. Hope you guys are doing great. I am wearing an ugly shirt today because even though I am a die-hard Cowboys fan, my best friend on the planet is a Packers fan. Because I love him, I'm helping encourage him today just because. I already shot him a picture and just said happy week one. Um, you do that sort of thing for a friend because you love him, which is the point of the lesson this week. And it couldn't be more timely for our students. There's a bunch of them, our middle school girls in particular, but there's a bunch of them, period, that just don't understand friendship, not the way that it's really supposed to work. It's not about getting, it's about giving. It's sort of like Christmas all the time with our friends, right? So we really want to do a great job of explaining this concept to them. So let's jump in. Option number one and option number two, they both kind of revolve around Facebook, and they're great principles, except teenagers don't use Facebook anymore. So drop Facebook and talk about Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat. Those are the three things they're on. But yeah, students just don't care about Facebook anymore. So drop that word, use the principle, use those other three. And you can ask them if there's other social media networks they're on too. But yeah, run away from Facebook. Number two, it's pretty interesting. Jonathan was 10 years older at least than David, probably more so. You got to study the timeline on stuff to get there, but just know that Jonathan's 10 years older than David. And bring that up to the students. They'll think that's weird, but they'll only think that's weird because we base friendships off the wrong things more often than not. Jonathan and David's friendship was based on two things. Number one, both their deep, sincere love of the Lord, but number two, they were both a little bit crazy. Remember, David went after the Goliath all by himself, really because he trusted God. Jonathan has a similar experience a few years back. You can read it in chapter 14 of 1 Samuel. Jonathan went and attacked 20 Philistines, just him and his armor bearer. And the armor bearer's job really was just to hand the sword to Jonathan and then get out of the way, right? That was his only role. Jonathan had a little bit of that crazy, I'm going to trust God no matter what thing in him too, and that's what drew them together. That's how our friendship should be as well. So point that out to him. It should be a lot of fun. Don't miss the covenant exchange from chapter 18 and verse 4. We're supposed to read the first 3 verses, but go ahead and read verse 4 as well, because it mentions that Jonathan gave David his tunic, his coat, his belt, and his sword. And that's exactly how, remember, Abraham did the same thing. Anytime a covenant was made in the Old Testament, they would exchange goods. And the idea was I'm committed to you no matter what. In fact, may I die. May I die if I don't keep my covenant to you. And this is what Jonathan did for David. But he actually went on to say specifically, even if you can't do these things for me, I'm going to do them for you. And you kind of get the impression David can't do any of those things yet. And the lesson does such a good job of pointing that out. But help our students to see, again, friendship sometimes means even if my friend can't do for me what I need them to do for me, I'm still going to treat them that way, because this is how Christ calls us to treat other people. So point that out, the covenant exchange. Read chapter 18 and 19. I want the students to see, just you read chapter 18 and 19. We want the students to see how selfish and jealous Saul had become, and how those two things in particular are relationship killers. Literally, Saul is chunking spears at David and his kids, and it's killing his relationship with David, obviously. It's killing his relationship with his family, though, too. And it starts to permeate all his relationships, even with, and of course, with God, too. So help the students see that when we're jealous and when we're selfish, which are human emotions that we feel, those are things that we need to repent of, because they will carry over into every other relationship of our lives. So help them to see that relationship killer. And then finally, I love the idea when it says in chapter 23, it says that Jonathan went to encourage David in the Lord. I hope you caught that just little bitty sliver of a line. Here's what's happening to David. He's been on the run probably for a couple of years. He's no longer allowed in Israel because Saul wants to kill him. In fact, Saul is hunting him to kill him all the time. David's had to change teams. He's been fighting with the Philistines for some time. Now, he's been a saboteur in the Philistine army secretly. But yeah, he's not allowed to go home. So he's lived a terrible life the last few years. Don't you know he was discouraged? Particularly if he kept thinking, man, God promised me I was going to be king, and now I'm living in another country right now. This isn't what I signed up for, God. And Jonathan travels a great distance and comes to David, and he hugs David and embraces him, and he says, you're going to be king someday, and I'm going to be with you, and it's going to be great. Remember God's promises. This is what it means to encourage somebody in the Lord. See, when we encourage people, sometimes we we do I love yous and high fives, and I think you're awesome, and you're the prettiest person I know, and you're just the best, and blah, 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 blah. And those are encouraging things to hear. But nothing should be more encouraging to us than hearing God's promises. And that's our job as believers, as friends, is to remind each other of the gospel and to remind each other, hey, no kidding, God is with you. And there's nothing better than that. I had a conversation with a student last night. She's going to have a really hard day today because of some stuff she's going through. And so I told her last night, I said, hey, I want you to remember God's with you tomorrow. He's with you right now. He's with you tomorrow too. And she's like, yeah, I know. And I said, no, sweetie, listen. The God of the universe is with you all the time. So you don't have to be afraid. It's going to be a hard day, but you don't have to be afraid. And she, yeah, you're right. And that should never become a cliche. That promise in particular, it's not a cliche to say that God's with us. That's the best news in the world. So don't let God's promises become cliches. Use those to encourage our friends. That, again, is what makes the best friendships. Guys, I love y'all, and I'm praying for you, and I'll see you Sunday. Bye.